I'd already lit it before I hit record. All right, I'm shooting this on the iPad. I bought the iPad. It was a compromise. What I really, really wanted was this Microsoft Surface Pro to draw on. But I got the iPad, and I never, ever draw on it. Never. It is good for editing video. It's better than my phone for editing video, but it's a really clumsy camera. So for shooting video, it's pretty much got to be, indoors on the stand. Am I sorry I bought it? I'm afraid to say yes. It's as if saying yes and admitting it will force me to grieve for the lost opportunity. The funds that I spent on this device, I could have... See, here's the thing. The thing right now. I can never really regret money that I spent on something that didn't work out, because it just seems like there's this law of the universe that says if I accumulate more than a few $100s beyond what I need to pay child support and rent, something is going to come along and take that money. I can't keep it. I'm not allowed to keep it. So it's not as if I thought, or I think now, that if I hadn't purchased the iPad, that the money that I spent on it would still be in my possession and that I could add to that and get something better later. It just doesn't seem to work that way. So is this a scarcity mentality that I'm manifesting? My mother was here visiting, and my mother is a Christian. She's a Southern Baptist. And she also has, advanced degrees in chemistry and biochemistry. So, she's got that whole compartmentalization going pretty well. But she picked up this book off my shelf, and it's called The End of Upside Down Thinking. I don't remember the name of the author, but he's a Silicon Valley venture capitalist. And he has written a book about out-of-body experience, near-death experience, telekinesis, clairvoyance, all that good stuff. And my mother wanted to talk about all those topics with me. And every time she would bring them up, or, she'd try to mention something from the book, I would say, look, this guy, he's got so much money, and he's not interested in talking about the distribution of wealth, or, basically all the stuff that Andrew Yang is talking about. And if you're sitting on that much money, you've got that much, and you want to talk about anything other than economic inequality, fuck you. I didn't say that to my mother because I don't curse around my mother, but I'm not interested. I am not interested in hearing what some rich venture capitalist has to say about out-of-body experience. I don't care. And my mother told me that I was narrow-minded. I didn't dispute her out loud, but in my head I thought, I'm not so much narrow-minded as just pissed off. I would talk about these topics with anybody else, really. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about them, other than I know that there is some experimental data which, lends some credibility to the claim that mind is separate from the brain. Maybe it is. I mean, one of the things that recent advances in artificial intelligence is making clear is that consciousness and intelligence don't go together necessarily. They do in our brains, and because they do in our brains, we have assumed, over the centuries, that there was a connection, that once you surpass a certain level of problem-solving ability, you surpass a certain level of complexity in your ability to create abstract representations of things out in the world, and then run little experiments and little if-then experiments on your mental models and make valid predictions about what would happen out in the real world, that, once you get to that level of sophistication in terms of manipulating abstractions, that you just get consciousness. And what machines are demonstrating to us is that that's not the case. They can be superhuman in their ability to abstractly manipulate models and, to run simulations and basically do all the things that humans do that other other life forms, as far as we can tell, don't. And they're not conscious. They give no indication of being conscious. So, consciousness and intelligence, two different things. They occur simultaneously in humans, but they're not necessarily yoked together. How did I get on that topic? I was talking about out-of-body experience. Oh, right. That perhaps, the intelligence, the problem solving, the model making, the systematic representations that can be rearranged, syntactically in order to create different expressions. All of this stuff computers can do. Prior to computers learning how to do it, it seemed like humans were the only ones, the only beings capable of that. Well, perhaps all that stuff does go on in the brain, but the sense of experience, the subjective experience, the individual, narrative, the qualia, the qualitative aspects of awareness, perhaps that is not necessarily tied to the brain. I don't know. I had no notion that I was going to talk anything about that stuff when I hit record on this iPad. What I was thinking when I was just looking at it's kind of like a reflection. It's not like a video image because I'm raising my right hand, but in the video, from my perspective, what I see on screen is me raising my left hand, like it's a mirror image. Anyway, what I was thinking of was, wow, I've got hair again. It's growing out. My hair wants to stand straight up. So I'm hoping that maybe I can either pull it forward and get it to lay down facing forward into a kind of a Caesar type thing, or I'm just going to have to buzz it all off again. We'll see. Thoughts? THOUGTS? ? If you have questions, ask them and I will answer. Talk to you tomorrow.